Welcome in, everybody, to this week's Five Aside, the show where we talk about five things aside from the most recent Five Stripes match. My name is Glenn Paisan, and joining me tonight on this very special episode is Jennifer Taylor. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, I'm so excited to be doing a very special episode tonight.
It's nice to have something really fun and positive to talk about. And what we are going to be talking about tonight is your Decatur FC from the WPSL that launched just last year. It feels like this club has been around for much longer than what it has, considering the amount of success and growth that this club has already had. Smashing records, I guess it's what we do in Atlanta. We're not unfamiliar with that, but we have a little chat here with Gareth O'Sullivan, owner, and our general manager over there, Joel Gold. They were kind enough to give us some time tonight while they were at O'Sullivan's to talk about the team, the genesis of it, how it came about, its growth, and their hopes and aspirations for this club, and how they can be a part of growing the women's game from the grassroots level and making it bigger for not just for themselves, but for everyone. So here is our conversation with Gareth and Joel. All right, we are here with Gareth O'Sullivan and Joel Gold, manager, owners of Decatur FC, coming to you live on tape from O'Sullivan's. Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking some time out of your day, out of your night here to talk a little Decatur FC with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
So, I got a question for you. You get up one morning, piddling about the house, make a cup of coffee, making breakfast, getting the kids ready for school, whatever, and you get the idea in your head, you know what, I should buy a soccer team. How does that happen? Like, how I jest a little bit, but seriously, for folks who don't know, give us a little background on the genesis of this club, how this came to be, and maybe just a little background on how you came to be a part of it. Like, how did this all materialize?
To be honest, it was a couple of years ago, probably about 18 months prior to our inaugural season, and I just felt that the city of Decatur and the layout of the geography of Decatur and where the high school was, it would make sense for a team of this magnitude. And I was kind of thinking, Bull Durham type scenario, and just thought it all made sense. And on the women's side, there wasn't really anything grabbing everyone's attention in town, as Atlanta United is on the men's side.
Right.
And I had a little bit of history with the WPSL from back in many years ago, so I felt like this could be a really good fit. But a lot of things had to come together for that to come to fruition. But yeah, it was a whim that I started pursuing, and then we're kind of breaking down barriers each step of the way to get it on the road.
So as a follow-up to that, why the WPSL in general? And we were talking about this a little bit ahead of hitting the record button, but like in doing some research and trying to learn about the WPSL, I had no idea personally of the depth and breadth of this league and the role that it serves in the soccer tier for professional sports on the women's side. Can you get into why this specific division of the WPSL and why the affiliation that you guys did for this and what it's kind of all about, how it works?
Sure. I mean, back in 2009-10 when I was coaching the Atlanta Beat, we were looking at adding a WPSL team, basically would be our reserve team, so that we could get players a lot of minutes. And so I was in touch with the league back then. That's many years ago, obviously, but it was in my head. I knew about the league. I didn't realize the magnitude of the league. I think it's 150 teams now, which is tremendous. But so I approached the league kind of initially about, hey, I'd like to talk to you about starting a team, and they went through the whole application process about getting a franchise and all that. And then my next step was obviously trying to make sure I had the right location. and I talked with the high school here in Decatur and also Agnes Scott College, which is very central.
Mm.
And then it was, trying to get, the right fit for the team. And to be fair, the WPSL were easy to work with and provided me with kind of clear objectives I needed to hit to get the team up and running. And then I actually tried to do it a year prior, but I couldn't really nail down the facility. So it was a year later when we were able to launch the team, and quite hurriedly, to be honest.
It did feel like it came onto the scene.
Yeah,
really.
Once we got the green light on the facility, it was kind of like, procrastinating for that final exam. We're up and running now. Let's get something out there and, see how it goes. And obviously, we had a tremendous, successful inaugural year, but we never would have dreamed, back in April of last year or March of last year that this was going to happen.
I was even taken back myself when I went to the inaugural home opener and it's just packed out. And I was like, this is great. What were you thinking going into it? Because we've, on this pod and in our various soccer communities and forums, we've been clamoring for women's professional soccer, a team, NWSL or otherwise, for years. Were you picking up on that vibe? Like, yeah, this could work. I didn't expect it to work as well as it had, maybe, but were you picking up on that desire from the community? Like, or were you just rolling the dice and thinking, you know what, I'm just going to put sweat equity into this thing and I'm going to make it work?
I mean, I felt that it would work, but not to the extent that it did, obviously, in year one.
Yeah.
And it's certainly coming to the market late as well. But a lot of people over the last 10 years have been, what do you know? Are Atlanta United going to start a women's team? And I get that question a lot. And, because I was kind of in that field. And it's, I think Atlanta United, if they did start a women's team, I think they'd do great, because I think the city would support it. But I was like, why wait for someone else to do it? Let's go ahead and do it. I mean,
love that initiative.
Yeah. And we've seen some NWSL teams that don't have a whole lot more coming to the games than we do. So,
no, I mean,
we're pretty excited about it.
You set, I'm sure you know this, but you've set a attendance record. I think it was 2,126 fans attending a match. Their debut game, 7,700 total.
And I think Joel's got some targets he wants to hit this year where he won't be happy till he does.
Yeah. Well, I love that, though.
But let me put this out there because the Atlanta fan base is a crowd that loves to set records. So give us some targets. Like, I don't even know, what is the capacity of the stadium set up for professional soccer?
So right now, Decatur High School is set to hold 4,500.
Okay.
Fans. And so, we look at that kind of as a year 3 opportunity. I think the timing of this team is, look, timing in life is kind of everything, right? So, last year we started and we kind of learned to crawl a little bit. This year we're going to build on a lot of momentum from FIFA Club World Cup and add to what we did last year.
Capitalize on that.
And then we're going to kind of get our legs underneath us and walk a little bit. And we think going into 2026 with FIFA World Cup being here, and a lot of the things that the city of Decatur plans on doing around that, and the festivities associated with that, we think we're going to have a really big kind of run year in year 3 for us. So, when we look at attendance and records and things like that, right now, just doing some quick Google searches, we land from an average home game attendance somewhere in that 3rd to 4th range of all women's teams, all women's sports, NCAA, pro, semi-pro in Georgia. We're kind of behind, obviously, the Dream and then the Vibe. And I think the Vibe's somewhere around 3,200 average at home games.
Which is incredible for them as well.
It's incredible, right? Yeah. And so our goal this year is, how close can we get to that? Can we move into second place? And then if we can move into second place and keep that momentum going, how close in 2026, can we get to the Dream and things like that, right? And kind of ride the wave of success that we're having. get pushed forward by everything that FIFA's doing in the United States in the next 18 months, and then women's sports, the whole 9 yards. And so,
Well, and looking ahead and knowing that the U.S. is going to host Women's World Cup, the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2031,
Right.
you literally have this just stair-stepping mountain of, space to create opportunity for women who want to continue on a professional sports pathway, which is pretty awesome that we
yeah,
can do that.
it's super exciting for us in that capacity. Absolutely.
So speaking of pathways, we did actually reach out to the wider soccer community. We had, a few people from all over the place kind of submit some questions. So one of the more interesting discussions we got into is, what is the career path to becoming a general manager look like? and as a side question, can you actually make a living, like a comfortable living, being a general manager of a minor league sports team?
Those are great questions. I don't know what the right path to becoming a general manager is for a women's semi-pro team. I think my path was more associated that I'm willing to work for 7 cents an hour and put in 100 hours a week. I think.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a job to retire from. It's a job of passion. In my real kind of day job, I do a lot of sports activation and work with some larger events from FIFA World Cup and Olympics and March Madness and those kind of events. So I have a little bit of a background in history and doing some sports activation. And then other than that, I had 2 daughters that played super competitive soccer, and again, timing in life is everything. My youngest daughter was getting ready to go to college, and I had no more soccer on my plate ahead of me. And I heard Gareth was starting this, and I initially volunteered to can I run the clock on Saturdays for you? And if I can get some free fish and chips, that'd be great. And just kind of materialized from there.
So basically, this is what happens when you're a youth sports parent and you're not quite ready to give it up.
That's exactly it, right?
I feel that. As a former teen mom, I completely feel that because, I miss my tumblers of Bloody Marys at 5:00 in the morning at the World Congress Center and, the team bonding group karaoke outings and things like that. So I would have loved a way to keep that going longer when my daughter went off to college too. So good on you for figuring it out that, it takes running around at 100 miles an hour and running a minor league sports team.
I feel like in sports, especially at this level, really any level, there's a certain level of you just got to be passionate about it, something inert deep within you. I've been working at the Atlanta Hawks as the prop master for the past couple seasons, and as frustrating as that team can be all the time, it is fun to be involved with the team and to feel like you're some small part of their success and interacting with fans. And I promise you, I'm not going to be retiring off of the work I do for the Hawks. I do it because I love it, and it's fun, and it's just something that's so in my DNA, sports culture, and being part of that world in whatever way I can be a part of. I get a similar feeling that's what it is for you guys as well.
I will say this, Joel is very much downplaying what he's doing here with this particular franchise. He is treating it like it's Atlanta United, and he is putting a lot of hours in.
That's very evident.
Putting a lot of, making a lot of things happen for the franchise. So we're very excited that he came on board in this role.
Thank you for being the timekeeper.
Yeah, I mean, he's very kind. There's a lot of people that are involved in this. We have a pretty good staff here from marketing people and game day activation people, design people, social media people. Everybody has that passion and is wanting to see this grow. But it really doesn't stop there. I mean, we have such a huge commitment from the city, from Mayor Garrett, all of the commissioners, all the Parks and Recs folks. I mean, everybody involved in the city are as big of fans as Garrett and I are of this team, and equally as supporters. We have, probably 10 to 20 volunteers from the city every game that are helping us do things. And it's just it really takes a village to pull off a game like this and that kind of crowd. And so,
and it probably, it may not have happened without the city's involvement right off the bat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were key, very instrumental in
Yeah.
getting stakeholders together and getting it all up and running.
That kind
Yeah,
of.
and I'd also be remiss if we didn't talk about like David Harbin, Rodney Thomas, all the folks at the high school who put, on game days at least as much time in it as we do at the stadium. So.
That kind of segues into a couple of our other questions. It really does feel like the entire community city of Decatur has coalesced around this thing and wants to be a part of its success. And like I think I've said to both of you at a previous Footy Mob event and when you came out to the tailgate as well, that if you love something, you have to give back to it. You have to be a part of it if you want it to grow. These things don't just happen. It takes real effort. Jen, you want to go with the next couple?
You took my segue because that was actually one of the questions that we have. So, with all this community buy-in that you have, which is fantastic to hear, what is Decatur FC's end of this? Like, what is your responsibility as Decatur FC in building and fostering the local community and in working in concert with the city government and getting all this buy-in? So what does the give back end of this look like?
So, I think when after the last home game, I think when we all kind of took a breath and realized, we talk a lot about kind of this gift that we've been given from the city, right, and the fans and the community, and how do we nurture this gift and how do we use it to kind of build up everybody in the process, right? So the way we kind of think about every decision that we make is, how can we bring players in and how can we, return them back to their colleges in the same shape or better, right? How do we work with our staff? We work with a lot of interns. How do we let them work with us, get the experience they need, and go back to college and use that experience in their lives and resumes? And then how do we do that with the city, right? How do we use our game days and everything to help build up the city and the businesses and sponsors? And so that really kind of drives all the decisions that we're making right now. And then, of course, in the bigger, broader picture of women's soccer, we look at it as kind of two primary goals for Decatur FC, which is how do we get more young girls involved in soccer? And then how do we keep them engaged in soccer longer, right? And we view the biggest tool that we have to do that is our home game days, right? And so how do we get more of them to come? How do we get younger girls to come and look at what's happening on the pitch and say to themselves, I think one day I can play under these lights and I can play under these crowds, right?
Right.
So this year, as an example, we're launching called Wednesday Night Lights, where we're offering free clinics from all of our players. And we're working with Soccer in the Streets to use the pitches at the MARTA stations. So it's free clinics for girls ages 6 to 14.
That's fantastic.
Trying to get more girls involved in soccer and keep them involved longer.
And is there a reason, like, it was Decatur, not just because you happen to own O'Sullivan's or whatever, but like, is there, would it have worked as well if you picked it up and moved it to, say, I don't know, College Park or East Atlanta Village or, I don't know, Midtown, where you could have maybe used Grady's, not great. What is it? Midtown High School's stadium. Sorry. I've been in Atlanta a long time. All these name changes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But, was there what makes Decatur special? And obviously from the women's aspect of things, right? Like,
I think geographically it made sense to have it here with the high school 300 yards from the square, which is a kind of a hotbed of activity between restaurants and other businesses. And then you've got multiple youth soccer clubs around. You've got Inter Atlanta a few minutes away. You've got Tysa or Triumph a few minutes away on to the east. Yeah. So we felt we didn't want to align with any one club. We wanted to be open and friendly to everybody. And you've got DDY here in Decatur. So we felt like, and our head coach works at GSA. So we've got all these different clubs kind of within the area, and we felt like the city of Decatur, and to be honest, like the high school and the walk to the high school, and I just felt that would be a really cool, kind of fun thing for kids and adults to be able to do, and still pre-game and post-game, very close to the stadium. It's kind of a unique setting to where you're able to do those type of things that kind of reminds me of Europe a little bit, where you can, walk to the stadium, have your beers or whatever, have your hot dog or burger.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit reminiscent of the Gulch Town,
Miss
a
the
little
Gulch.
further, but giving you that opportunity to be able to tailgate and do pre-game and post-game and still be talking about the game and not have to jump in your car.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
love
no,
it.
that's-
It's 4 miles from for me, and right at the MARTA station as well. So for me,
I
it's
live in
great.
East Cobb, and you need a passport to get to my house. So
But that's you.
Yeah.
But you have options up north, and we've talked about this to go. see
yeah,
one of the teams.
and that's something else. Like with the success that Decatur FC is having, how do you see that impacting? Because there are, in fact, four teams that are local in the state around the wider metro area. So how can we leverage what's going on at Decatur FC and kind of build out that message and get you some traveling support out, when you schlep up here to Canton or all the way up to Cumming.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping to bring a lot of our fans to those games in the Metro Atlanta area.
Yeah, we'll be there.
I mean, I'm quite confident we will be. I mean, last year when we went to play over at Oglethorpe against the UFA team, we had more fans than they did.
Yeah.
Which it was a home game for them.
Yeah.
So that was great. Whereas this year, I think building on last year, we should be able to really build some nice rivalries. And we had a big crowd for the Georgia Impact game last year. They brought a lot of fans to our stadium.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that that series with them home and away would be a lot of fun.
So that's who we're supposed to hate, is the Georgia Impact.
You don't have to hate
You have to hate them.
Maybe love a little less.
Quit
Is that a better
trying
way
to
to say
stir
it?
the pot, Jack.
They did take us to a draw last year. So it was
Yeah, they're good people,
Yeah.
and we want to make it into a fun rivalry.
yeah.
And everybody's
So-
working in concert to make the game bigger. That's what this is all about. Yeah, you want to
I
win.
mean, the other teams as well. I mean, Atlanta Fire and UFA, they're all quality organizations. It's a lot of fun. I honestly think we're just unique with our situation geographically and the
I think so.
location. It just checks a lot of boxes, and everyone's kind of gone, oh, this is just a fun, unique experience.
Yeah.
And that comes down to Joel and the team he put together to make sure that game day is just a big success.
Speaking of putting the team together, you were talking about using match day experiences to potentially source future talent, or at least inspire future players. What is the player pathway that you see in terms of scouting and development? Are you focused on players immediately from Atlanta? Are you looking OTP or way OTP, or is it really just homegrown type situation?
No. Right now, we've got players coming from New York and all over different colleges all around. I will say a large majority of our players have a connection to Atlanta, but we're just in year 2. We're definitely going to be developing partnerships and scouting both internationally and all over the States. We want to keep building on this and putting the best team out there.
That's incredible what you just said. You have to keep reminding us we're only in year 2. It feels like we're talking to a club that has been here for 3, 4, 5 years at least. The amount of progress that's been made in a year just over coming into the second season is like remarkable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned like what Joel has done with his team, and making it basically as close to Atlanta United as you can get. But Campbell Chapman, our head coach, has done a fantastic job assembling the roster. Last year in particular, right, under, hey, we need a team and we need it quick. Whereas this year he's had more time to put the roster together. So, Campbell and Jack did a great job last year, and will continue to do that this year. We've added another new coach as well to the mix. So we're excited about, both on the field and off the field this year, and hopefully the crowds keep coming.
Are you finding that there's more talent like player talent like approaching you now for opportunity that you've been in the, that you had the success? Like, are you getting more solicitations and engagement from a player recruitment process?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think one of the best things that happened for us was the success that Campbell and the team had on the field last year, and the game day experience. A lot of those players went back to their college teams and were like, "Yeah, I was playing in front of 2,000 people.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
I
What?
signed autographs for 45 minutes after the game with all these young players, right?" And so some of that was so now we just got recruiting going on there, right? But I'll be honest, I get emails every week from players from across the country and international players looking to come and try out and play for our
Wow.
team. Yeah,
International players.
Wow.
yeah.
That's kind of mind blowing. I want to come to Decatur. Like that. I mean, the fact that you've created like a destination football club already, like that's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, they are, yeah, and they're excited to play, and so.
So if they're not already college affiliated, I'm not. I mean, I guess I understand a little bit like the like the academy system in Europe, the way that it works, and those players have like salary, living expenses, things like that, and coming to a WPSL side that obviously doesn't have that kind of Arsenal Academy budget type of thing. So what do you do if you find a player that you really like? Do you help them through like the college application process? Like what would that look like for an incoming player who didn't already have like a school situation or something along those lines?
I mean, a lot of it depends on what their current situation is. I mean, we've had conversations with some pro teams about getting some players on loan, going forward maybe next year, because it suits their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Their downtime is our on time.
Right.
But then, obviously we have to be very cognizant of NCAA regulations and NIL stuff. So, but the minute they're finished with eligibility, whether they're domestic or international, we're getting a lot of interest, and it's great.
And we're setting up things in past that they can if you can make it to Atlanta for the summer, how can we assist you, whether it's maybe finding jobs with certain businesses or sponsors and things like that, to obviously finding housing and things like that.
Right.
We're trying to clear every hurdle we possibly can for Coach Campbell to be able to get whatever players he can in the process.
So you circling back to like, you said you had this 3-year plan of whatever. One of the submitted questions that we got, I thought was really fascinating that, you guys had a really good season on the pitch last year, not just off the pitch in terms of attendance, but like the club was ranked, I think,
Second?
16th overall.
But second in the division, or
and second in the division.
Yeah.
And I guess the WPSL doesn't have playoffs or any kind of like US Open Cup style tournament. There's no like, okay, here's your top division teams and here you go. It's just, how do they determine who comes out where?
So they have basically a postseason that is optional. So a lot of clubs really don't exercise that option. So it's really the national rankings are based on a committee that the WPSL has, and they're looking at results, historical, history of teams with regards to who's been to the Final Four or who's been around a long time. And we were probably an anomaly to them last year because they were looking at us going, who are these guys? Then obviously based on our results, they were able to give us a final ranking of 16. But it is a committee within the WPSL headquarters that determines all that.
So when you look at additional metrics for success, what do you feel like from a business aspect? What are your other metrics that you use? Is it specific player signings? Is it fan engagement? Like, what do you view as a success outside of this is how many wins and losses we have and where we wound up nationally?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of different things. Obviously, from a business perspective, we're looking at tickets, we're looking at sponsorships, we're looking at kind of merch sales. I mean, all those kind of things, right? I mean, this is a business, and Garrett's wife's only going to let it go so long, without making money, right? And so there, we have a runway, and we have to run this like a business. And so, there's definitely those things. I mean, I think for us, equal to that is working with the players on the field, being successful on the field. We can have a great march to the stadium. We can have a great game day experience. But if we're losing 10-0 every game, or we're beating everybody 10-0 every game, that's going to fizzle away pretty quickly, right? And so I think our metrics, right, to put a great team on the field, give them a great experience, and then do everything we can to talk about those two goals we talked about, which is get more young girls involved in soccer, keep them engaged longer, and give as much back to the community and the fans that we possibly can. So if we feel like if we can do all those kind of things, it's some level of success.
Yeah.
And, we're going to have consistency, and we're going to continue to have fan support and business support. And
speaking of support, last question from some listeners. This one from APL Pratt. How profitable is it, and how can I invest? I jest, but also what can the fan base and people around the area do to support this thing? If it's not financial, just how can we, as fans of this team, of the game, how can we help this thing grow even more than what it already has?
I mean, obviously last year when we had our first year, we didn't I think we sold 400 tickets on game day last year, our first game. It just morphed.
Right.
From, okay, we've got this coming to the game, to, oh no, we've got this coming to the game now. So I think a lot of the work that Joel and Jen Johns and Megan and the team did last year really, set us up to be an exciting product for a lot of different people, not just in the city of Decatur, but within 5 miles all around. And this year, I think, hey, if someone wants to invest, they can always drop us an email. We're always open to those type of scenarios. But I will say, across the league, and there's probably not a whole lot of WPSL teams that are getting the kind of numbers to games that we are, and that's just a testament to how Joel's putting it together and how the team last year put things together. I mean, I'm just behind the scenes and trying to just let them do their thing. So.
Yeah, that's a very humble response. He's not. I mean, he is. He lets us lead and he lets us all do our stuff, but he is a voice of reason to almost everything we do.
So as we're all getting really excited for that home opener, when is that home opener again?
May 23rd, 7 p.m.
May 23rd, 7 p.m. What is going to be different in terms of supporters' expectations for match day this year? So are you doing anything to enhance the supporter culture, the experience, more merch, more in-game activation? Like, what do you guys have on tap for us that we should be getting jazzed about?
Do we have a mascot on the way?
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about that just a couple hours ago, right? I think there's going to be a big difference in the game day experience this year. I would say where we're going down the path right now is our first game day will be City Schools of Decatur night. So all students from the City Schools of Decatur will get free entrance into the game. Our march, we're working with the PTAs right now. We're very hopeful that all of the school mascots will be in the march to the city or the march to the stadium for us in the game. There'll be an enhanced kind of supporter group section this year with more chants, more excitement that everything that the supporter groups bring. One of the things that was kind of important to me in the process, we will have live national anthem singers this year versus kind of played national anthems. So we're trying to balance the, we were crawling last year, we're walking this year, we're going to run next year. And so when things come up, they're always is that a this year? Or is that a next year kind of thing, right? And so I think we're going to have calculated tries this year. And I'm sure we're going to have some calculated fails this year. And that's okay. We're excited about throwing out ideas and doing new things. And so
it's so cool to hear this kind of stuff too, because I think we all kind of walk into a professional sports experience and not having your background, or your background, Glenn, we just assume, the streamer cannons magically fire themselves somehow.
They do not.
Yeah.
They do not.
Yeah, getting the streamer cannons is an interesting.
I can talk to the
process.
Hawks organization, see if we can bring a couple out for y'all. I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll get more use at Decatur FC than they will at State
Yeah.
Farm Arena. For
It's
what
so
it's
funny.
worth.
So we just had a long talk about this, right? We're like, streamer cannons, okay? Who's going to clean up the streamers,
Yes.
right? And then you have
It would make a mess.
we're going down all of these great processes, right? And it's super exciting. And from a merch perspective, we have a whole new collection of merch coming from new shirts and other kind of items
cool.
and things like that. So we're excited about those kind of things.
Are you going to have kits for grown-ups?
Yes, we're going to have kits for grown-ups. And so, so we're doing everything we can from what we learned from last season, and I think we're striking a good balance of making sure we're continuing to walk and not trying to run yet, but trying to do as much as we can for the fans. And look, we have such great fans. I mean, just walking around the city. I mean, if you wear a Decatur FC shirt and people come to talk to you, everyone is so excited about the upcoming season. And it just, again, the team that Gareth and I have, I mean, it just pumps us up even more just talking to everybody and wants us to do try hard.
I love it. I saw someone with a Decatur shirt at LA Fitness the other day, and we did a little the nod, And,
I love it.
Yeah, they're
But
out there in the wild.
It's got to jazz like the players and the coaching staff up as well to know that they're not walking into a space that is just kind of an afterthought, right? That this is a curated, real. This is just kind of authentically happening, and that you're getting that kind of engagement from this. It's gotta make it easier to go do your job on match day and show up for practice.
100%. We're trying to let the coaches coach and take the rest off their plate.
Yeah. We have a great divide of we're off field and Coach Chapman's on field, right? And we kind of go back and forth a little bit, Hey, we're getting everything ready. You got to get everything ready too, and it's kind of a fun little internal competition.
Of who's going to be more ready?
I think we want everybody to be ready, right? It's just we're bringing the fans. You got to bring the game, and
Got it. It's healthy competition.
Absolutely,
All
and anybody who knows Coach Campbell knows that Coach Chapman, that he's going to definitely bring the game. So that's not an issue.
All right. Well,
and the players.
We really appreciate both of you coming on and talking about this. Before we go, Jennifer has a few call it lightning round, rapid fire, whimsical questions.
Right.
Totally off script here. That she and I take no responsibility for these. This is what she's come up with for the most part.
Okay, he had input here.
I did have a little input.
We
tried to keep them fun and as least divisive and controversial as possible.
I hope so.
In order to keep this on an even, fair playing field, it's going to be one question, and we're going to alternate who answers first, so neither one of you has too much time to think about it, but you'll answer the question at the same time. So for the first question, Joel, you'll go first on this one, and then you'll answer afterward, Gareth, and then we'll vice versa, and we'll just do that until we're done with the lightning round. So,
right.
Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. What is your favorite flavor of milkshake?
Peach from Chick-fil-A.
Chocolate.
Okay. The ubiquitous Atlanta question: flats or drums?
Drums.
Attaboy.
Yes.
Good people.
Right,
I'm telling you guys, good people here.
Okay, Joel, does pineapple go on pizza?
Not on mine.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, cool. We can be besties now.
I don't understand the pineapple on pizza. It's a dessert. Okay.
All right, Gareth, what is harder, driving around Atlanta without a GPS or explaining the offside rule?
Definitely explaining the offside rule.
Yes, explaining offside.
Wow.
That's saying
okay,
something.
and finally, this is right in your wheelhouse, Joel. What is your all-time favorite Atlanta mascot?
Gosh.
And the follow-up was that would you be holding auditions for a Decatur FC mascot? And apparently you all have already maybe lightly been talking about creating something. No spoilers. We don't have to spoil anything tonight. If it's a surprise, it's a surprise. But
It's
it would
only
be
100
cool.
degrees out there on a Friday night.
Yeah,
Great way to lose some weight if you want to do it.
we talked about having mascot races, and I'm not sure anybody was volunteering for that in the mascot suit. So
We could do the Home Depot tool race like they do at Truist Park for the Braves if we want to do something similar to that.
yeah, exactly. I'm going to go just a hometown favorite, and I'll say the Decatur Bulldog.
There you go. Fair enough.
You can say, what is it? I won't judge you.
It's funny. I was thinking of that, the 96 Olympic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
Gareth is like drawing a blank, and I got nothing here.
There's the Hawks,
Yeah.
the Braves, the Falcons.
Harry has won. For what it's worth, Harry is rated number 1 mascot in the NBA, and the Atlanta Hawks. I'm tooting my own horn a little bit here. We have the number 1 game day experience. Perhaps we get not the number 1 team. We get knocked out of the playoffs regularly, but we do create a really good game day experience for the fans. So I empathize and appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and the fact that you recognize the value of the game day experience and what that can do for fan engagement and getting people to come back again and tell a friend and tell another friend, you've got to come see this. It is fun, no win or lose. That is my job, to make it fun, win or lose. And we got rated number 1 for that as well.
That's fantastic news.
Yeah, we just found
huge.
that out a few weeks ago. So that was a big uplift considering how the season ended, not how we wanted to. I would like to play basketball into May and June, but that didn't happen. But we did our job, and y'all are doing your jobs. And you should know that it's greatly appreciated. We've been wanting this. By we, Atlanta soccer fans, not just the diehard fans, everybody. And I think you're seeing that too, because you've got a wide range of fans coming to the games that are really just engaged and loving it and coming back. And I think it's going to grow.
So, if I want to pledge my eternal soul to Decatur FC this season, how can I do that? Like, how can I go get season tickets? What are your season ticket packages like? Like, what can we do?
Yeah, cut the promo for us.
Get out there. Yeah, cut the promo for us here.
Yeah, all right. So DecaturFC.com. We have ticket packages out there right now. So we have, like, if you've been to Decatur Stadium, kind of the blue seats in the middle, kind of midfield. We have VIP season tickets. Those are all VIP season tickets there. Then we have general admission season tickets everywhere else in the stadium. If you're one of the supporter groups for Atlanta United, just reach out to your local supporter group. They should be able to provide you with a little promo code that'll give you a little bit of a discount code. For season tickets, if you put in the promo code, it gives you a co-branded Decatur FC supporter group T-shirt.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, absolutely,
love it.
And I'll tell you, one of the things we're super excited about this year, Aero Exterminators is one of our Path to the Pitch sponsors. And this year they purchased 250 youth season tickets so that we continue to offer free tickets to whether it's the Decatur Housing Authority, Soccer in the Streets, Emily Thomas Kendrick, just a fantastic and leadership team over there, Tim Pollard, Mike Malone, all those fantastic people believe in everything we're trying to do and big supporters for us. So
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
People wonder all the time, how does it get built? How do you grow the game from the grassroots up? That's how. Yeah. That's how you get great sponsors to come on, and you give exposure to young potential athletes. That is how it is done.
Yeah.
Speaking of, is the schedule for your Wednesday night pickup clinics, is that also on the Decatur FC website where people can check that out?
It's going to be out there, if not this week, beginning of next week. We just found field locations, and we're so happy that we get to work with Soccer in the Streets and to use the Eastlake MARTA station fields. And so as soon as we just kind of confirm everything, then we're going to get that up and let people start registering for that as quickly as possible.
And those are going to be registration slots, right? You have to sign up for that. You can't just show up.
Yeah, definitely. And we're trying to just figure out what that number is. What's the magic number of
totally fair.
We can get there, but still have a great experience, not be too overcrowded and things.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Gareth, Joel, thank you guys very
Thank you,
much,
guys.
not only for coming on here, but for being you.
Yeah, Glenn and Jen, thanks you so much for having us. Sorry, it's getting a bit loud in here now.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's all good.
Go have
That's all good.
have a pint. Lord knows you have earned it. You have earned it. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and can't wait for opening day. We will be there.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it.
Thanks, guys.
All
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye,
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right, that was really cool. Big thanks to Gareth and to Joel for taking some time out of their night when they could have just turned around and just had a pint at O'Sullivan's. That was, I mean, you know me, I'm an easy crier. They almost got me at the end.
I'm surprised that they didn't get you with all the community goodness that they're talking about.
They almost got me at the end when they were talking about the sponsors that they are working with and how they are buying 250 tickets
250
to
per
give
match
to local kids groups and sports groups here, because that is how you grow the game. When we talk about, hey, grow from the grassroots, those are the roots. That's the grass.
Also,
is
not
like
just that. It's we're going to show you the game, and here's a free ticket for it. But also, come learn how to play it with the clinics
that they're putting on. Like, they have thought of every step in development, and they haven't left any steps out so that you get to one point, and then the next step you have to take is too big. No, they haven't done that. They've really thought it through of like step by step. How do we do this? And that doesn't happen unless you care about it.
And I was also really happy to hear that, like, in terms of like the player recruitment and who they're targeting and how they're working, that they're really engaged with the wider youth soccer community and not just Tysa, and that it's pretty much everybody who's in, the immediate
ITP and
area.
OTP, like
So,
OTP.
and then talking about like the recruitment stuff, like that was really cool. And I think that's not something we tend to think about from the aspect of the women's game, because the mechanics of trades and loans and all that stuff is confusing anyway. Like the rules of how all that works and who has whose rights is overwhelming, to say the least. And I think very few of us really have a full-on grasp of it from the men's side. But to hear that, they're trying to find ways to bring internationals over because of the way that the PSL schedule is aligned, that we're playing, that league is playing primarily during the off seasons for other global women's leagues. And, these women have to stay fresh because over in Europe, that infrastructure doesn't exist yet.
Right.
So it's really cool to see just the kind of response that they're getting, and to hear the fact that they're working hard to find and curate those opportunities for, young aspiring athletes to come over here and do that. And not just, oh, hey, here's an opportunity to play on this team, but like, we'll help you find a part-time job. We'll help you find housing. If you can get yourself to Atlanta for the summer, we'll find a way to make it work. So I think it bodes really well for the type of on-field product that we're going to see when we go watch Decatur FC. It's going to be really, it was already entertaining, good quality soccer.
They smashed records their first season. Over 2,000 fans in their first game, 7,200 total. They've talked about how they have more traveling fans than when they go on away games than some teams have home fans. And that's not throwing shade at any other team. It's just remarkable. Like, it's very similar to Atlanta United in terms of like out the gate. It was setting a new standard, raising that bar. A rising tide lifts all boats type thing. And this doesn't happen, like, when someone's just kind of half-assing something, right? When they're kind of faking it and you're like, oh, okay, thank you very much. They have thought through, like, troubleshooted every little thing to how do we make this as successful as possible? What hurdles are we going to run into? What barriers are there for fans and for players? And they've put in real effort to remove those. It's incredible.
Well, I think it's also really interesting to see how something like this just kind of evolves, because, I got from talking to them that like their expectation was maybe we'll get 500 to 1,000 people in here to watch a match, or we might get 1,000 for the home open, whatever, and it's like, what do you do and how do you scale? Like it's interesting to sit down and talk to people and see where that thought process is, and what do you do to kind of build on that,
and the ambition that they have, not just for themselves but for the club. Like that, by all means, you could just rest on your laurels. Look at that season. All right, that's the bar. No, they're already talking about, all right, well, the Vibe gets 3,000. How do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we get up to the Dream 4,000, 4,500? How do we surpass that? How do we become like main event, in Atlanta? And everything they're doing it's going to happen. Like, it's not going to get smaller. This thing only gets bigger.
They are in a really, really good location
That's
for
part of it.
being an affordable entertainment, family
Easy
friendly,
to get to, walkability.
option. Walkability, but also public transit accessible.
MARTA,
Also,
right there.
I mean, affordable. What it's $12.50 to go to a game for an adult, and
Yeah.
it's like $6 for a kid.
That's right. And
Like,
if you're a supporters group member,
$55,
you get a discount for that too.
Yeah, you get a free T-shirt if you get a free T-shirt package.
And all the new merch that they've got coming out, new adult size kits, let's go, scarves, like all sorts of good ways for me to part with my money in a way that's extremely positive. Like, the ROI you get on this is better than your 401k right now, I promise you. Like, this is a guaranteed, you don't have to worry about the market going up and down. You know the return you're going to get on this. You know it.
And it's a quality night out for you and the fam, or quality night out for you and a friend.
And who knows? You take your young daughter out to a game one time? Hey, that's kind of cool. Oh, really? There's real pathways here.
Yeah.
It's not just pie in the sky. Like, they're creating this before our very eyes, pathways to development and to becoming a professional athlete. Like, that's happening here. Be a part of this, man. Like, this is history setting. Like, be a part of history, like we were with Atlanta United. When that first came in, we were all part of history. That was great, Be a part of this. This is something to get in at the ground floor of this thing, because I promise you, if they're already like 16th out of 150 teams, it's special. It's special. Don't take it for granted. And it's a good product too. It's good football.
Yeah.
It's good football, man. And you're right on top of it. It's got that kind of Bobby Dodd feel.
It's really the thing that we don't get with Atlanta United, right? You don't get the intimacy. You don't really get to be all up in the player faces in the middle of the action. And this isn't to knock the Bends.
No, we love the Bends.
It's different. Yeah, it's completely different. But this is just so intimate, and you can really see and hear more aspects of the game than you're going to get in a larger scaled building. So anyway, Thank you again to Gareth and Joel for coming on and for talking to us and explaining a little bit about how you wake up one morning and decide to own a soccer team. It was fascinating, and we can't wait for our second episode of the series where we are going to have some more very special guests.
Yep, the kids are coming back on. We're just trying to get that kid bump. Yep, I'm shilling. I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
Our numbers always go up whenever the kids are on, and we thank them for it.
We're sad and pathetic, and we respect that there are way more interesting people out there to listen to, so we defer to that.
Yeah, and this is who we're handing the reins off to, and this is what Decatur FC is all about. So we thought it really appropriate to bring on some young, aspiring little footies out there and have them come on and ask their questions of a couple players that are going to come on, as well as Coach Chapman. Right before the start of their season. Look for that pod to drop around the second week of May, right before their home opener, which is on the 23rd, I believe.
Yes.
And then get on Decatur FC's website, look at all their home matches and away matches as well, and then support the other teams in the area as well. Georgia Impact, Atlanta Fire United, all of them. Because
they are conveniently located all across the northern metro area, because you've got women's WPSL side incoming. You've got one in Forsyth. That's the Atlanta Fire. I think UFA is the one incoming. And then, of course, Georgia Impact over in Canton. And if you're even further north of the city, you've got Chattanooga FC in the division as well. Who doesn't love a little roadie to Chattanooga? So you got all kinds of ways to support the growth of women's professional soccer in this country.
Yes, ma'am.
Get out there, whether you're driving to support Decatur FC or whether you're supporting one of the other local clubs. The whole point is you're supporting women's sports and you're fostering opportunity for young women.
Preach. Whatever excuses you had, we have removed them for you. You're welcome. Go support them. It is affordable. It is fun. it is positive, and we need all those things in our lives right now, to be perfectly honest, and for a number of different reasons that we'll talk about on a different pod, not this one.
Yeah.
Not
Not this
one.
pod. This is the happy pod.
This is the happy pod. We'll get back to the sad morose pod a little bit later on, I'm sure. I have no doubt. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening and for watching and for continuing to support us and supporting Decatur FC and all the other teams in town. It does mean a lot to us, to the sport, to everything. I mean, if we love this thing, and I know we all do, if you want it to keep growing, you got to be a part of it. No passengers on this. We have to be actively supporting it, and buy a ticket and do just that. You won't regret it. All right, y'all. Thank you very much. We will be back for the next pod. See you then.